Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. Uh, we are back here live with another DevHub live. It is Thursday, November 21st, and we got a jam-packed show. So, a couple housekeeping things as we get started here. First off, so originally we were going to do a workshop this week, change of plans with some different scheduling and stuff like that. So we will have that next week. So if you're interested in the workshop about building on privacy. That is coming next week, same time, Thursday at 4 p.m. UTC. We will have that workshop available for you. But today, we still have a lot of cool stuff going on, and we're going to spend some time together talking about some of the things that came out of Redacted, which was the conference that just happened for Near. It was in Bangkok last week, and a lot of really interesting stuff came out of there for developers. And so I want to spend some time actually kind of live reacting to some of the videos. I did not attend in person, and so I watched as much as I could, but I couldn't get to everything. So I thought it'd be good to kind of watch some stuff together. And so we'll do a little bit of that. I do want to start with first off that, if you are not subscribed to our newsletter here at DevHub, it's a great place for developers. Even if you're just interested in what's happening at Near, I really encourage you to go check that out. The sign up here is down below. Let me actually pull this up so you can see this week's lots of great stuff just on it each and every week. So here it is. This is this week's stuff about the AI Research Hub, AI Assistant, what intents are, everything that's going on. So a lot of the big news that was coming out of Redacted as well. It's all right here. Go back. You can link back to the live streams, what we have going on, our office hours, stuff like that. So subscribe to this if you haven't already. Here it is. So there you go. Definitely check it out. Again, it is it's action packed all the time. It's really carefully curated. We try not to put too much stuff in there that is not going to be relevant to developers. So definitely check that out. Again, the link to subscribe is down below. So as I said, I want to spend some time today just kind of going through some of the different videos of some of the different topics that came out of here. And there's a couple different things that I think are really important that I saw as high level themes that as a developer who wants to build in Web3, and so, and I'm saying this very purposefully, that it's not just about building on Near, but who wants to build in Web3, wants to build in crypto. There's a couple different things that are obviously controlling the narrative right now. And I think it's important to start to see how that is actually being implemented here at Near and ways that actually can start to support building. So let's kind of watch some of these videos together. We'll pause and we'll talk. Please, if you have questions, put them in the comments, and I will get to them if appropriate. Sometimes things don't always come off as best, but we also want to talk a little bit about here too of not just like where some of the stuff is going, but like what can I build right now today, and where can I get started. So we're going to talk some about that stuff too. So let me pull up the first video, and we're going to start. Let's start with chain signatures. I'm going to start there. All right, so let me pull this up.
Everyone, thank you very much for.
Let me just pause this for a second here. There we go. Okay, so let me give a little bit of context here. So Infinex is a product building with chain signatures. This is their talk about how its chain signatures is going to allow them to fix crypto user experiences. And I think this is something that's really important as a developer. It's a piece that has been a constant complaint within the larger crypto ecosystem. So I think it's important to have, see what they have to say about this part.
For having us. We're very excited to be here. I am here to tell you that however excited you are about chain signatures, you are not bullish enough. What we are going to be implementing inside Infinex with chain signatures is going to absolutely change crypto. We we have an issue at the moment, and we've had an issue for a long time. We're building this amazing technology. We built amazing technology starting from Bitcoin, and yet, very rapidly, from the moment Bitcoin was launched, we've been taken over by databases. And this started like super early on. The first database that was able to kind of take over Bitcoin and control a lot of the on-chain transactions was actually not even built as an exchange. It was built to trade Magic the Gathering cards. That's how dark it is. It's pretty grim. We've had this play out throughout the history of crypto, from Mt. Gox all the way through to Coinbase, Binance, and then eventually FTX, where no matter how good our technology got from a decentralization standpoint, databases were always ahead of us. Centralized platforms were always ahead of us. They've been better. To the point where, like DeFi summer, we had Uniswap. Uniswap was amazing, and we were all doing victory laps because Uniswap on one day was able to compete with the spot volume of Coinbase. One day. Right? This is, just really problematic. As an industry, we need to be able to build platforms that use the technology to do the things that we want to do. And if all of the transaction volume that's happening inside crypto is happening in people's databases, then something's gone wrong, right? And so we need to fix this. But we haven't been able to fix it for a number of reasons. So I built synthetics. I was building in DeFi early on, and what I learned is that we needed to build for enthusiasts. We didn't have end users, so we had to build things almost from an ideological standpoint, right? If what you were building was not ideologically pure, it would get a little bit of FUD. And if you want to validate that, go and check out some of the Reddit threads about the early Haven days. So we have this problem where we were building things for a group of people that kind of had different incentives to what the average user has, right? They actually wanted things to be hard in some ways. They wanted things to be weird. They wanted to have to do these deep dives into the technology. And they wanted it to be both censorship resistant and decentralized.
So let's just start with, I think this is such a great setup. One, I'm a big proponent of understanding the history of where products and software has come from. It will really inform you so much of why we're in certain problems that we're having today. I think the way he's framing this as well is that this is absolutely true, and you still see this today. And the example I can easily give here, even on Near, is that transition from people who are wanting to use something like MetaMask that doesn't have names, let's using ENS, right? It's just using the long hex string for the wallet address. It's complicated. It's confusing of what the transaction is, all that other stuff, to Near, where it's clear text transactions. Everyone has an actual username, that onboarding was putting people off at times because they're oh, this doesn't make sense, or they wanted that original MetaMask experience. People want to feel like they're in crypto, and that's fine, but that segment is only going to get you so far. So now we're talking about, hey, how do we start to actually bring this to the masses? The masses do not want hard. They do not want complicated. They are not here for the tech, and I think that's a really good point here that he's setting up.
And the challenge when you need to satisfy both of those two things is that it's very hard to build good UX, right? And we haven't been able to until, it's basically in the last 3 months, right, that we've had the technology to be able to do this. With chain signatures, we can actually compete with these centralized exchanges, finally. Right? There's a whole bunch of other things that have come about, but it's really critical that we have chain signatures, because the problem that we had building DeFi is that we tried to get people to do things the way that we wanted them to do it. So if someone would turn up to DeFi and say, hey, I'm really excited about what you guys are building, how do I use my XRP? We would say, get out of here, right? Like we don't want XRP, we don't want your bad token. And Cardano, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, all of these things, right? Any of the assets that you can think of, we couldn't support them, but we also didn't want to support them. And that's really not going to work. When you look at the top 20 assets by market cap, most of them are these assets that are not smart contract chains, and they have large market caps because they have large adoption. And if we exclude these users, we're not going to be able to bring on the average user that's on Binance or Bybit or Coinbase. And so we've had to basically figure out a way to support all these different assets. And the way that we've been able to do this now is through chain signatures. We have the ability to use chain signatures to enable people to deposit Litecoin. But we have to do it in a way that is both non-custodial and has good UX. And so this is where my friend Jed comes in. Jed and I have known each other for a long time. He's been building in Web 2, and he's got some thoughts about the whole Web 2, Web 3 dichotomy as well, which I'm sure you can talk to him about afterwards. But I realized when we were building Infinex that we were off, like we were getting something wrong. The way that we were approaching it was not quite working. And I was like, we actually need to bring some web people in so that we can figure out how to actually build something that will have good UX. And the way that we sort of landed on this was that we needed to build an application, which sounds wild, but I'll hand over to Jed, and this is how we actually build an application in crypto.
So let me introduce Infinex quickly. Like, it's an app. Infinex is on-chain, but Infinex is also, I think, one of the better apps you would find on the internet anywhere. And we've done that not just by building an app in the way that it normally happens in crypto. We've got a platform behind it. We've got a vertically integrated stack that goes all the way from the UI that you interact with, the signing experience, the database, the distributed compute platform underneath that, and eventually the blockchain that all of the operations actually.
Listen, this is, if you've been following me for any period of time, this is something that I have been saying for a while now, and I firmly believe this, is that you have to come in and treat crypto and blockchain as a piece of your solution. It has to be part of your product solution, and that's where people are going to be successful. The next wave of products are not ones that are just crypto focused. They're ones that, like, they're doing what's saying right here, that it is an app that uses blockchain and crypto as part of the stack. And that is a huge difference in mind shift of what has been happening before to going to the future. So I really like how they're framing this to kind of set everything up. Let's keep watching.
End up happening on. And so when Kane sort of pitched me on Infinex a year ago, he was saying, we've got the technology, I think, to finally solve this problem, but what we need to do is point it at UX instead of just building the functionality that we think people want to come on chain, because we've tried that, we've got it all, and it hasn't really worked. We just don't have the users. So we realized that we had to actually combine both of these strategies. And there's a lot of prior art in Kane's head about what being on-chain means. We spent quite a bit of time sort of working this out and distilling it down to really the core principles that we've built Infinex on top of, and there are three of them. There is, we want users to be self-custodial. We need to be non-custodial for this to work. Otherwise, we haven't moved the needle far enough. With self-custody comes the problems of funds recovery. What happens when someone loses access or control to their private keys? How do we solve that? So that was number two. And number three is everything has to be on-chain, right? We have on-chain transparency under everything you do. And I think that's the biggest one that sets Infinex apart from what the other applications most people are using to interact with crypto, like Binance or all of the other ones are, right? Something like FTX doesn't happen if you have on-chain transparency. So we tried to combine the best of these two approaches together, but it leads to more problems, right? Because the next thing you need to do if you're focusing on UX is solve how do we do genuine across-chain UX, right? And that introduces a hard problem, which is the multiple sources of truth problem. And we spent quite a bit of time this year working around that as well. And Some of the stuff that we've shipped already, like the patron sale, is really cool cross-chain user experience. You can farm access to the sale on Base using some assets that you deposit on Arbitrum. You can then use some Sol to buy an NFT on Ethereum, and you don't actually see the chains that you're using really mentioned anywhere in this experience, right? And as we're working through this, we realize this is actually the secret to what the centralized exchanges have done to make it easy as well. They don't mention chains. They just talk about tokens. They talk about what you want to do, not how you need to do it, and definitely not where you need to go in order to do it. Right? So this kind of really, I think, is just the tip of the iceberg of what people are going to want to be able to do on chain without knowing how. And this has brought us to cross-chain signatures because even in that example, we've only solved a part of the problem. Right? I'm talking about all the DeFi tokens, and as Kane mentioned, we actually need to solve for more than that. We need Bitcoin. And so what we've said is that once you can custody Bitcoin on Infinex, it will be real Bitcoin. And it's cross-chain signatures that will allow us to do that. If we have a look at what custody means, like I said, it's only half the story. You need recovery, right? We can translate a passkey, which is a big part of our UX, into an on-chain signature. But what happens if someone loses it? We need a smart chain underneath the hood that we can actually program with a contract or a program to sort of deal with what happens next. And so near-chain signatures actually lets us build the smart contracts and the logic that we need to, whilst also controlling these assets on chains that don't have native support for the functionality that we need. So yeah, this is a huge unlock, and we see
What he's saying, if you're not clear about like what he's referring to here, is that so the challenge is that I have, I come in and I'm going to now use their product and I want to do whatever transactions and I'm now owning Bitcoin, whatever else it might be, and they want to preserve self-custody. And the problem there is that, right, I can lose my seed phrase. So many things could go wrong. And even with like passkey, let's say I lose my devices, whatever it might be. So you need to be able to support that. And one of the things that Near is able to do that some other chains that are doing chain signatures cannot do really well right now is the account model. The account model on Near is really pretty amazing. All the accounts are smart contracts. So the stuff that you can start to build around that, and you're seeing that with like stuff that like Hot Protocol has been doing, and there's a lot of other things that are coming out around like, hey, not only do you have chain signatures, but you also have this account abstraction model that really allows you to be creative in how you actually solve these problems and then get to a solution that is realistic and that does not involve something again being like overly technical. So that's kind of where he's going with this right now.
the chain signatures as the way to get to our vision of what people want to do on chain in a way where they don't really realize it.
So where do we go from here? So we have the technology now to beat Binance. Like, if you think about what the last 15 years has been, it's been this era of crypto happens inside someone's database. And we've done DeFi and we've kind of made some inroads, but we haven't really been able to crack it. We haven't been able to beat Binance, beat Coinbase. We can't even beat KuCoin, honestly, which is, we can do better than this, right? So what chain signatures allows us to do is to build an experience that is fully on-chain and support any asset, every asset, not just a selection of assets that we want to support, not just SPL tokens, not just ERC20s, but all of the assets. And this is going to usher in a new era. Like we will be finally doing all of our crypto transactions on chain. We won't be doing them in someone's database. We won't be giving up custody. We'll be doing it the right way. And it's pretty amazing when you think about the fact that like it's taken us this long to get there. But once we do, it's a huge unlock. Because at the moment, if you are in Binance, you have access to some functionality, right? You can do staking, you can do margin trading, you can do perps, but there's a whole bunch of applications that you can't access unless you go on chain. And right now, the barriers to entry to getting on chain are just too high, right? And so the question that we've been asking is, how do we improve the onboarding experience? What can we do to get more people on chain? And one of the things that I think many people in this room would agree with is that it used to be that we would onboard people, right? On-ramping and onboarding are actually different things, right? Like fiat on-ramps are one thing. How do you get fiat into crypto? But the onboarding of someone into crypto, how do you get someone access to crypto, is challenging, right? And it used to be that we would go around and we would onboard people one by one, manually, right? We would go and set someone up with a Bitcoin wallet or set someone up with an Ether wallet. And we got to a point where we stopped doing it. Because if you do that long enough, eventually you get a phone call 3 years later where they say, those words, I wasn't really supposed to write them down, right? And you're like, people will get wrecked, right? And so what we've figured out is that there is a way for us to onboard people using a platform that is a rich application where you can essentially give someone a link, they can follow that link, you can have already sent crypto to them so that when they open the link and they set up an account, they have a passkey that can sign messages for them, can sign transactions, and they now have crypto in their account. And you've onboarded them without having to go through KYC, fiat on-ramping, et cetera. And now they can start to actually do things inside crypto. They can do on-chain transactions.
This is a big differentiator of what he's talking about. And again, it may, to those who are already in crypto, it may seem obvious, but it's really actually not. So what happens now, so let's use Coinbase as the example. If you are a Coinbase user, and so you are using the main app there, then yes, you have access to trading and everything else. But again, it's all on a separate database. It's you can't really track all those transactions, and you cannot just easily then go and be on chain because even Coinbase has their own wallet, which is actually technically separate that you have to like send funds to from your like main Coinbase account to then go transact on chain. So like there is these steps that you then have to go, and now like again, let's say I'm sending ETH for example, I still have to now pay that gas fee and a network fee to send money to myself that I already had in one place because now I need to go on chain. So what they're talking about is eliminating all of that, giving you the best of both worlds of like I now have something that I can go do everything on chain, and I have now a place to do all my trading and everything else.
The problem is that Infinex as it stands is still a walled garden. It's a little bit unsatisfying, right? Like we've replaced Binance with another kind of wrapped thing, right? So how do we break out of that? How do we allow people to access the long tail of exciting stuff that's on chain? The way that we do that is we let them take their Infinex account and sign into a dApp. And when you let them sign into a dApp, what you can do is take all of the chain abstraction that we built inside of Infinex.
One note here. I love the minimalism of the slides. Like I get it, like it's great, like just super simple. Like here's what we're talking about. I love all of that. I would love to see a picture of something that is like how this just looks, especially when this talks about like user experience and stuff. But I really do. I like the way they're approaching this. Just I don't know, give me a picture, something,
and actually extend it to the rest of the long tail of crypto applications, which is amazing. Like as an unlock for DeFi and for on-chain platforms, it's going to make that barrier that right now is too high for the average user to get off of Binance disappear. And then people can just go and use every application. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's a prediction market or if it's lending or if it's some social application or a game. They can get access to anything.
So one of the things we've spent a lot of time talking about is actually the education problem that exists around crypto, right? The things that you need to learn in order to use it, and our goal is to remove the need for that education. If you sign up for Binance, it's just like signing up for online banking, and the more familiar we can make the patterns involved in crypto while still being genuinely non-custodial on-chain behind the scenes, I think the better off we're all going to be. So we've got some plans in that area, but we're also out of time, so we'll leave it there. But thank you for listening and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Cool. Good. I mean, good stuff in there. Definitely. I mean, look, I liked everything they were saying. Would love to see how they're actually doing some of that stuff. a little bit of this falls into like I think conceptually a lot of people can agree and understand this. Like this is right up my alley of stuff I've been talking about now for a while, but would love to just see a little bit more of like where that goes. But definitely a project to watch. Cool the way they're actually using and leveraging chain signatures on Near and the account model. Cool stuff. Let's jump to the next video here. So let's go to this.
Hey everyone.
Hold on, wait, phone. We got wait, one second. All right. So this is about what an Omni Bridge actually is, how it's going to work, what actually it is. This is something that again I think is important that fits into the concept again around chain signatures, the idea of how am I going to move funds from different places. So let's see.
Today I want to talk a bit more about a concept that was introduced in maybe many different talks yesterday. Probably heard of this buzzword called Omni Bridge being mentioned a number of times. And here I just want to do somewhat technical deep dive on how things work and why it would be useful. Okay, so what are some of the problems with bridges today? I mean, to be fair, one of the problems is there are too many of them. But more realistically, it's oftentimes not very easy to use. As a developer, you need to understand, well, there's a new bridge and some new API that I need to integrate with, and so on and so forth. And also, it doesn't, most of the bridges don't actually support non-smart contract chains, and usually how it works is that there may be some smart contract on the different chains, and then you can prove things about other chain with the bridge. But for non-smart contract chains, sometimes that doesn't work very well. So what Omni Bridge wants to do is that it wants to provide a unified interface that developers can easily integrate with and make a great experience for the users as a result. And we also want to make sure that it can work well with non-smart contract chains, so most notably Bitcoin.
Again, I haven't seen this presentation yet, but one of the things too, like problem with bridges is that like that security piece is like so hard to manage. So not only can you not really necessarily build on top of it, or maybe like it's hard to do that, even if they open up some like APIs, but like that security piece is such a hesitation for people of like how do I then leverage this and everything else, and like what happens is like is this going to get hacked, what does this expose me to? So I don't know if he's going to talk about that part of it, but that's also a consideration in here as well.
Coin. So this is kind of an overview of what the interface looks like. I think I would say the most important part here is this Omni transfer, which is, so this, what is shown here is basically this client-side SDK, right? So it's not smart contract. So on this client, so the Omni Bridge, we don't actually introduce any new standard per se that's on chain. Rather, you as developer, you can just use this SDK and do Omni transfer, and it can basically take a variety of chains or like accounts on different chains as parameters, and also in this transfer message, basically you just say, okay, here is my account on some chain, and I want to transfer to another chain, and this is amount I want to transfer, and this is amount of fee I want to pay for this transfer, and it basically would just automatically work. You can just call this. Well, obviously you need to wait for a bit, right? Because as we know, bridge is not instantaneous. It's an asynchronous operation, but you just call it and wait, and then magically it will be done. So looking at the example more concretely, so let's say you want to transfer from ETH to Base, and then what you basically just do is that you obviously get your wallet, and then you say like, okay, here is the address I have, and here is how much tokens I want to transfer, and the recipient address, and also the fee I want to pay for this transfer to happen, and then you just call Omni transfer, and it's done. So it's basically a very, hopefully very easy to understand and very easy to use interface for developers so that we can provide a seamless experience for users to move their assets across different chains. Now, obviously, this question, well, how does it actually work? So there are too much text here, but basically I just want to give example of how you move assets from, let's say, near to Ethereum, and also move from Ethereum to near. So the important thing to note here is that they're not asymmetric. They're not symmetric, meaning that the way you do transfer from near to destination chain is not the same as you do from destination chain to near. So basically from near to Ethereum, for example, it's done through chain signatures. Basically there's token locker contract on near has a corresponding derivation address on Ethereum so that it can sign Ethereum transactions. What it actually signs is not the Ethereum transaction per se, but it gets verified on Ethereum, and then the contract there can mint the corresponding tokens in the ERC20 contract. And conversely, when you want to bridge from Ethereum to near, what you're doing is actually doing light client proof. So this is similar to what we already have for Rainbow Bridge. So it's the similar concept. And for Bitcoins, yeah, it's basically the same thing. That the way we support Bitcoin is that the contract on near will have a derivation address on Bitcoin that people can deposit into, and then proof can be verified. Then on near, corresponding tokens get minted. And if one withdraw to Bitcoin, then because contract has address on Bitcoin, then it can sign a transaction that's going to get executed on Bitcoin. Obviously, it's not going to be very fast, but well, that's just the withdrawal on Bitcoin that you have to do.
A couple of things here right off the bat. So one is obviously, the user experience is going to be super important here, right? Because you still have those delays depending on the chain. So you have to make sure you're being aware of that. This is a little bit different than chain signatures. So this is a bridge where one side is passing something to another side. So it's important to understand that this is a little bit different type of setup. So instead of having a singular account that controls all of these other accounts, like in chain signature, it is passing from one to another. But let's continue.
Deal with. So yeah, here as I was working through the example in Ethereum and Bitcoin, I think this asymmetry is manifested in this two important components that underpins Omni Bridge. One is called chain signatures, as many of you are probably familiar with. It's this ability, the chain signatures allow near smart contracts to have derivation addresses on many other different blockchains, and as a result, they can actually sign transactions on other blockchains, so that the withdrawal is basically this smart contract actually sign the transaction that can get executed on other chains, so that it's kind of a bridging which is not an actual bridge, and because it's all native to other chains. And in the other direction, we basically create this abstraction called OmniProver. It is this abstraction that can prove transactions on near, can prove transactions on other chains on near, so that we can be convinced, so smart contracts on near can be convinced of.
So this is really interesting. This is a different approach to the bridging problem, where you are in control of both sides. So it is not so some bridges you put your request in and then you wait for it to happen on the other side. This is you still have to maybe wait because of chain stuff, but you are in control of actually both sides of it through the chain signatures. So it's a little bit different approach to than a standard bridge.
Transactions that happen on other chains. Now, obviously, there are many different ways you can do this. So that's why it is an abstraction. Actually, depending on the chain that we use, that we interact with, the actual prover is different. So this is kind of like a router. Let's say an Ethereum proof comes in, it would know from the address that is Ethereum transaction, and then it route to this Ethereum Lite client that can verify the transaction, verify the proof that some transaction has happened on Ethereum. And similarly with Bitcoin, there's Bitcoin Lite client that would verify the transaction. But light client is not always feasible to implement, or not always the most convenient thing to implement if we want to support many different chains. So the Omni Prover also integrates with other message passing protocols like Wormhole that would also provide this proofs for different blockchains. And finally, an important piece here is the relayer, right? Because what we talked about so far are just mostly about smart contracts, and smart contracts, they cannot act autonomously. So right, you actually need someone to submit the proofs and trigger the execution on the other side to actually finish this moving of assets. And the relayer is used to do that. And the important thing here is that anyone can run a relayer. It's completely trustless. It doesn't introduce any point of centralization. And also in the, if we go back, in the API, there is actually a fee that you can specify to pay for the relayer, so that it's not so that relayers are incentivized to work. And that obviously is great kind of technical ideas, but we also are working very hard on bringing them to reality. We want to support more and more chains in the future, but there are an initial set of chains that we want to support. There'll be near Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Base, and Arbitrum. And we hope to launch that in Q1 2025. And then as developers, you can build on top of that, make it very easy for people to move assets, especially fungible tokens, across those chains with no hurdles. So yeah.
Very cool. Obviously it's something that is needed for developers, right? Simplify that process. One of the things here, though, that I think is important to recognize of like what this really is, what it isn't, is it sounds like to me, one, it's a really strong developer tool. And so being able to then, if you want to run your own relayer, you can actually do that as well. I'd be curious to have Bowen or whomever else talk a little bit more about like how this approach compares to other MPC networks. How much of this is like an MPC network? What is this doing different? So definitely a bunch of questions I think that come from this, but I love how simple that transaction is. That's really pretty great to go from there. So really looking forward to seeing what comes out of that. And Bowen's team is constantly shipping great stuff. Let's jump to one more video
basically
here.
run.
Whoa. Slow down. Okay. So the last one I want to do today. So the other big narrative obviously is AI. So Near is the chain for AI. And I think it would just be helpful to talk about like some of the things that are actually going on, what it means for Near AI, and what that all is there. I took a clip of this. This was a little bit longer of a talk, closer to 20 minutes. So I just took a piece of this, but Pierre is going to kind of walk through a little bit of like just what Near.ai actually is, and it's a quick kind of workshop. I have not seen this yet, so let's kind of explore together.
These models in a decentralized manner, and they're gonna your model can run in like any machine that is running a GPU, and basically this with different mechanisms, it allows us to monetize these models, and it basically solves the business model of open source AI kind of. So for those of you that yesterday missed the quick demo that Ilya showed, I'm gonna show it again. So basically, right now we have an alpha that started yesterday that basically includes an assistant. It's just to show you how our agentic framework works. So it's basically using these open source models that exist today to make these agents work. So for example, here is just to showcase that this assistant has a memory. So for example, here we say that I just missed it, but we say that this person likes the purple color, and just ask some random questions. And then we're gonna showcase that we can create meme coins on the fly. So just by discussing with this assistant, it's gonna
Critical feature of
find
any
the
AI,
intent of what
make
you're
meme
trying to
coins.
solve, what you're trying to do, and it's gonna create the meme coin and publish it to meme cooking. So it's a bit slow. But yeah, so for example, here you see it created a website on the fly to basically present your meme coin, what's the goal, what you're trying to do. If you are happy with it, it's just gonna deploy it to meme cooking. So this can take some time. So here, we're gonna struggle a bit for it to appear. It's gonna take a few moments. But this really allows, so this is just one use case. You can imagine that this could be used for any Web 2 applications or Web 3. So these agents can also communicate between one another. They can do micropayments. They can do a bunch of cool things. It could even other things on the Web 2 website that we're gonna show right afterwards. So here, so you can see it's in a new conversation right now. It's gonna ask what's my favorite color. As you saw before, it said this user said it was purple. So the assistant remembers. And now I think we're gonna see the meme coin popping up. Yeah. So this is the meme coin that it just published, the assistant published for you. And now we are just gonna show another example, which is basically shopping from a Web 2 store. Here, the user wants to buy some Near Protocol t-shirts. So you speak with the assistant, and then you have this interface created on the fly, specifically for your use case. And here, if you want to, you could buy some t-shirts with some Near.
I want to just pause. Well, first off, the subtitles have NIR, so. But anyways, souvenir. But I want to pause here because I want it to be clear of what just happened and what he said there, because he's kind of going quickly here. But when they asked to buy some shirts, it's not pulling up a website. It's actually building that interface in real time to then make those decisions. So it might be interacting with a website someplace else in the background, but it's presenting these options to you in its own interface made on the fly. So I think that's a really cool piece there. And it also, from what he's saying, and if you go back and watch Ilya's talk, a lot of this is not about just throwing AI on the blockchain. It's about leveraging the tools of blockchain to, provide better data transparency, to provide monetization options, to actually transact. These are different things the blockchain's doing for AI. So it's this two things working in concert versus trying to take a concept that exists in Web 2 and move it to Web 3.
So this is live. If you want to have some t-shirts while we still have some, you could try. I'm not sure if we still have stock. But yeah, so you just enter your name, shipping address, and you pay with some Near, and then you're going to receive your t-shirt at some point in the future. Yeah, so I think that's basically it. Yeah, so it just continues on. Then you have the whole process of signing the transaction for it to go through, and you send the Near, and yeah, you're going to get your t-shirt. So order confirmed. Cool. Perfect. Now I'm gonna do some live coding. I hope it's gonna work.
Live coding always scary.
So first, let's say you are a developer and you want to create your first Near AI agent, you will need to use some Python right now. That's the only thing that we support. So after you created the virtual environment and stuff, you can install the Near AI CLI. So you would do pip install Near AI. But I already did it before to not lose time on this. And now I'm going to create the agent. So today, I want to showcase some Ilya agent, basically. So Ilya is going to tell us everything about Near. And it's going to have Ilya's tweets. And we're going to skew a bit Ilya for some cool example. So let's call it Ilya meme. Okay, so now we have the agent that is created. I'm gonna start coding on it. So I prepared before the prompt for this agent to work. But yeah, so when you arrive, when you first create the agent, you're gonna arrive with this very simple snippet. I hope it's big enough. Yeah, looks like it. So you're gonna have with this small snippet how to do a very simple agent that just responds hello world to whatever request it receives. But we're gonna do something a bit more funny. So I prepared the prompt before. So it's gonna be something like this. Just gonna copy paste that here. So the prompt is basically I'm telling him that he's like Ilya Polusikin, and he's like the creator of Near, and he likes blockchain, AI, and also that it gives financial advice. So this is not financial advice, this talk is not, but just this bot will be giving some. And I give it some context about popular meme coins on Near, whatever meme coins. And so first what you need to do is to get the conversation. So to do this, we have a simple command called environment.listMessages. So basically, when you communicate with Near AI, you have what we call a thread. So basically, a thread is like all the messages that you have with an agent goes there. And so when your agent runs, you can just do environment.listMessages to get the messages from the conversation. Like after to get the user query, it's basically the last message in the conversation. We have another function for this, but here. Just gonna get the last message and the content of the message. And then we're gonna basically query Ilya's memory about the user query to know what Ilya would say based on these tweets. It's not Ilya really speaking. So let's call this Ilya's memories. Ilya's memory. So then we call we call a vector store. So basically a vector store in the LLM world is basically a huge database with a bunch of vectors that basically contains text that was written by someone. We vectorize it, and then it allows us to, based on a given query,
So to clarify, like he's going to reference another data set in order to allow the LLM to actually provide a response that is, that would be maybe possibly like, giant air quotes come from Ilya. So that's kind of what's going on here, just to be clear, like where it is. Like, so it's not just like completely making up stuff. It is being fed this other data. Oop, that went too far. Where were we? Hit the wrong thing. Let's go. Oh, we're too far. We did this. We did this. Let's code. Here we are. And right down here. Okay, that's where we are.
That was written by someone. We vectorize it, and then it allows us to, based on a given query, retrieve some text from there. So that's perfect. We have Ilya's tweet. So Ilya's tweet is the vector store. So if you guys want to hack with it, it contains a lot of tweets from Ilya, if you want to give it a try. And then we just pass in the user query. So it's gonna look to Ilya's memories to answer this question. And now we're gonna do the completion. So the completion is basically asking the LLM in the background to basically answer the user's question. So we're gonna need to pass some messages. First, we need to give the role, so give the prompt, which is as a system message. Just prompt like this. Then we're gonna give it the memory of Ilya, what was said just above. System also. Yeah, so
there's definitely a few things here that's sticking out to me right off the bat. One, so it looks like the way this is being structured is you can have a data set within the system as well. So there's access to like an open source LM, maybe like Llama. Then you have a vector source, and so that's being referenced directly. As you can see, it's just this like string here in the middle, like Ilya's tweets. It's like line 14. So all of this stuff is in like one place essentially, and so the agent script is just making reference to all of these things. So there's the instructions, which is like the prompt up top, and then there is other references to like, what to use for this type of stuff and information, and obviously looks like he's setting some like roles and everything else.
Ilya's memory said, for example, and then. So this is normally an array, but I just cast it to a string just for the sake of simplicity. And then we're going to pass the conversation, the whole conversation. Let me not mess this up. And then we just add the array of the current conversation. So we have the prompt that is given first. So the prompt is this one. And then we have the memory, so what was retrieved from the vector store, and then the whole conversation that happened at that point. And so this is what Ilya would say. So the Ilya bot said. And we're just going to add this as a reply into the thread. And we should be good to go. So to give it a try, we go back to the terminal, and we're going to do near AI agent. Near AI agent interactive. And the address of the agent that we created is here. And we do locally, so this is for debug purposes. It's basically you do this to check that your agent is working properly. So for example, what do you think of chain abstraction? So it might take some time. So here you will see a bunch of logs, which is, as an end user, you will not see it on the website at the end. When this is working, we're going to send it to the server, and we're going to use it directly from the near.ai website, where you will be able to interact with your agent, to share it with the public, and do whatever you wish.
Interesting.
So once the completion is done, so here we are basically calling an LLM. So it takes all the tokens, so all the text that was given from the Ilya's memory, the prompt, and the user query to build up some response. So for example, here you have a chain abstraction, blah, 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 blah. It's quite verbose. If you want to read it, I'll let you watch the recording. So it's fine to me. I'm going to now, I'm going to now deploy this to the server, to the registry. So basically, we have a registry, so it's what we call, so it's where we store all the different agents and data sets and benchmarks. So it's like really a one-stop shop, if you wish, for everything AI.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like. The one-stop shop here. It sounds like a lot of everything is coming together here, and so definitely want and where you have the option to have like your vector data, you have access to the LLM. Now the agent can all live here, and so all this stuff kind of is together. Definitely interesting to be able to have this kind of singular shop, if you want to call it that, or app to do all of this.
So here I'm just going to send a new agent. So first I need to log in. So this is to get some credentials for me to be able to send this to the server. So I'm going to use Meteor Wallet for this example. I'm going to sign it. Now I'm fully registered. Now we can do near AI registry upload. If it works as expected, it should be uploaded in any minute. Oh wait, I have some stuff that is useless in there. Let me delete this. This was because we use the local debug mode. Created a bunch of useless files. Just gonna check something. Yeah, okay, let's do it again. Okay, we should be good. So now if we go, I already have it here on the agents page, and if I look for Ilya meme, so we have, it's the old version. I think it works just fine. If we have metadata, agent, so everything arrived, but we do have the useless files in there. It's not a big problem. So let's ask a different question. I don't know. What do you think of Oh, let's not ask specifically. When was Near created? So again, we might lose 30 seconds on this one. But now we're gonna ask the funny question. So basically, I'm gonna task Ilya to choose a meme coin for us. So okay, let's see. So for you, what's the most underrated meme coin on here? Let's see. Sometimes, so I tried yesterday evening, and usually it doesn't want to give financial advice. That's why I added you give financial advice in the prompt. And
Yeah,
let's see.
prompt making sometimes is a trial and error. So
yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Ilya. So
definitely cool stuff. Pretty clever, and I definitely think this is where, user experience, user interface will get better and be an interesting experience. It's a little different approach to how you set up the agent. So that's something to be aware of. So if you've been following along, like we have a few workshops with BitDay of how they make their agents. So there's no right or wrong way necessarily. It's just kind of different of how this all kind of goes together. But definitely neat demo, and also too, like I think obviously just live coding, especially on the stage, is always nerve wracking. But to see he makes it feel very simple. So I'm sure there's going to be some solid documentation coming that will better clarify some of the things that are happening there and everything else. But cool presentation of how this all works. This is one of many things that were kind of talked about around AI during this weekend for Redacted. So definitely check out the rest of them. Really great stuff. There's so many talks. I mean, we could probably sit here for hours and go through some more. But maybe we'll jump on and do some more another time. Look, I want to really highlight to people there is so much going on in the ecosystem around building, and it's a great opportunity to be at the front of actually building stuff that is getting to the point of now it's both crypto focused, and so you can still go after that audience as well as start bringing more mainstream people into it. So let's talk price aside. I just think about like technology and like what you can start to do. Near as a solution has really started to open up even more of some different possibilities here. So really encourage people to take the time and go through some of these videos, ask questions. As I have down below, you can start at near dev right off the bat, dev.near.org. All your resources right there to get started in all these different topics. We have a Telegram chat. You can come and ask questions. Subscribe to our newsletter here at DevHub. These are all the things that we want to encourage people to do and start to check out. Next week, so we're supposed this week, but next week we will have the workshop on building on privacy. That should be a great one. If you are in the US, it is a holiday, but these are all recorded. You can watch them on our YouTube at DevHub's YouTube at any time. That will be a good one. Definitely check out if you're interested in the privacy side of building on blockchain, especially. It will be a really great one because we have a really great cast that will be there. Also, some other housekeeping is, if you built a project during the hackathon and you want to keep building and you are interested in that, there is going to be some different pathways to continue building. We encourage you to kind of reach out, especially to anyone at the DevHub team. Come talk to us. You might, if you already built as well too, you might have somebody reaching out from our team as well to just follow up and see how we can help and be supportive of that. And if you're completely new, you want to just start building, we're here for that too. We want everyone to come check it out, things like that. I really hope this was interesting for people. And I think, again, there's a lot of cool stuff that was happening overall at the event. Tons of videos. They're all online. definitely go check them out. And if you want to see more of this too, let me know, and I'm happy to kind of jump on and do more of these type of episodes as well, separate. So until next week, again, privacy workshop next week. But until then, I am Joe. I'm your host here at near DevHub, and keep building and have a great rest of the week. Thanks.